What up, Space Fam? Evening, 10 p.m. in South Florida. Welcome to my regulars and new peeps. I guess Cuban Mangoes and the UFO Collection. I might have seen UFO Collection before, but if y'all are new, welcome. What's up, Ellie? What's up, Light Moon? Just getting my stuff together. Finally made coffee tonight. Every night I've been slightly better prepped. So clean the camera lens and some of the magnifiers. I cleaned the front of the scope. I made enough coffee to last for 2 sessions at least. What's going on, Miguel? So it's a bit hazy right now, but it's supposed to get clearer in the next like 30 minutes, and then it's clear all night. So I'm pretty excited. Jupiter's not that close, but it's in tow, and then Saturn is where it's usually at. So if y'all can go outside, you'll see the alignment of Saturn all the way on the left if you're looking south, Jupiter due south, and then the moon southwest. What's going on, Jen Perry? How's it going? I pulled up a few articles, and I also want to finish reading stuff from yesterday from the Ralph Jurgens Origins of the Moon from the Ponce article. I'll just wait for some more peeps to join. UFO Collection says, am I using a focal reducer? Yeah, right now I'm using the F6.3 on the 8-inch Nexstar with the A6500 cam. And then when we get zoomed in shots, I usually take out the focal reducer, take it off. Yeah, Cuban style coffee is very good. I got a pour over with this cool little device, like stainless steel. I think it's called a Gator. Little Gator pour over. So very tasty. I started setting up the tracks, new stuff in Bandcamp. I haven't published anything yet, but I might do that later tonight. I got at least 4 or 5 new tracks in draft mode, so stay tuned. I was checking on the Chandrayaan-2 moon missions. I think it's in like its 6th orbit around Earth. Not any new photos today, but there's just like one shot of Earth from, like, it looks like it's a bit away, like 20,000 miles, maybe 50,000 miles. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of footage comes out of the Chandrayaan mission from the ISRO, Indian Space Agency. But I dared go on space.com to look at some news, and it's just awful. It's just like an atrocious set of articles. Just insinuations and implications and paranoia, and no sign of plasma, no sign of the electric universe, even though they can't figure things out. But I keep wondering whether I should even read any of this crap, or if I should just continue reading like older cosmologists like Halton Arp and Velikovsky. I kind of lean towards that. Yo, what's happening, Crystal? Nice to see ya. What up, MM? What up, Gangsta? Yo, thanks, Cuban. Yeah, I'm gonna turn these up a little bit. We'll groove a few more minutes while it clears, and I'll have a smoke, and then I'll start reading some stuff. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. It's gonna be a fun show tonight. jumping back in here. So Miguel, you got tremors, earthquakes? It's crazy. Hope you're all right, man. UFO collection, usually after like 8 o'clock, 8:30, like when the sun really goes down, the mosquitoes like quit their activity, dare I say. So I'm very lucky that none of them are attacking me right now, but from like 6 o'clock to 8:30, it's vicious. So it looks like it's clearing up a little bit. I'm doing my little trick right now, which I don't know if y'all know what an extender tube is, but essentially when you get a Barlow lens for your telescope, it's like a little kind of metallic tube that's 1.25 inches or 2 inches thick, in diameter rather, and it's about 3 to 4 inches long. Yeah, and you put it between the camera and the telescope. But what I'm doing here is that I'm removing the little lens from one of the Barlows. So I'm using this little extender piece without the actual magnification to put the camera a little bit further back away from the telescope, in conjunction with using the F6.3 focal reducer, which also makes the image a little bit wider. So it doubles up and it gives us, like, I finally figured out how to, I've been doing it with the 11-inch for a long time, but the 8-inch needed a particular length. And so now I'm using this 2X Barlow tube to basically give us a much cooler, like kind of 6-inch view of the moon with an 8-inch telescope. And yeah, so that's what's going on right now. It's nice and crispy. It's got like a thick yellow haze, but I think that's just due to the phase of it. What's up, Genghis? Genghis. Yeah, definitely hit that 4K if you got it. All right, let's put on a new jam. What about Cactus Dance? So this one is going to be up on Bandcamp probably tomorrow or later tonight. So it's Cactus Dance, named by Ellie, and yeah, it's just an instrumental jam. Let's go. Alright, that was a little cactus dance. It's a funny name, but I love it. And yeah, that'll be available soon on Bandcamp. I posted it today. I zoomed in just so we can take a look at a different shot here. Got Mare Crisium, Sea of Crises, in view with its neighboring crater, this little craterlet called Proclus, Proclus, posted on screen. Let me remove those labels. It's so habitual for me to spell out Proclus. All right, so it's very interesting. I just wanted to note, as I do, that even though we've kind of come to think that the moon has circular craters and circular features, in fact, there are tons of articles out there that say, for example, like, why are the moon's craters so perfectly circular? And then I look at the moon itself, and I realize that that's really just a false premise to begin with. So here we've got Mare Crisium, which is a massive feature on the moon. I'm gonna see if I can get dimensions. Yeah, it's 620 or so kilometers across. 620 by 570. It's a massive region. Now, if you'll bear with me and see that if you trace the edge of it, it looks very much like a hexagon. And I think I have this, I'm gonna try and do this little graphic thing tonight. So I got this marker. I'm just gonna put up a graphic of a hexagon right next to it. Let's see if this works. There we go. Alright, so this is just a transparent image with a hexagon. And you can just kind of see, although I wish I could move the points around a little bit, because obviously Mare Crisium is at an angle on the side of it, you know, the hemisphere of the moon that shows to us. But anyway, I feel like this is just a quick try at representing the hexagonal nature of this giant feature. So it's not just little craters that are hexagonal, which I'll show later, but even the large mare are also hexagons in geometry. Let me remove that. Jen Perry, let me know if you can hear me. I feel like the music is like on like 1, but maybe I can just turn it off, or I'll put something a little bit lower. Perhaps too energetic of a backing track. Let's see. Let me just jump into the chat for a second. Yo, what's going on, Tom? And Miguel. Man, really, really hope you remain safe. It's hard to really even gauge where that will hit, but, you know, rooting for you, man. Right here on the edge of space, just whatever happens, and keep us posted on what's going on there. Anybody else joining? Let me know. I see somebody, Loops Delou. What's going on? Imagine you have access to the Vatican's telescope in Arizona named Lucifer. Excuse me. So I know you're probably new, but I talked about this on the show, I think yesterday. I read a whole piece on it. So they changed the name. It's no longer called Lucifer. It's called the Large Binocular Telescope. And it is truly impressive in terms of its capabilities. But yeah, the name is now no longer Lucifer. And I think it is really creepy that things go on like that. And I understand why people get annoyed by it. But yeah, we don't really have access to those types of telescopes or that data at all. And I feel like they spend a lot of time doing exoplanet research and things that are unavailable to the public. And further, I don't think they really owe us that stuff, even though it feels like they should give us the data. For example, if you look up the Keck Observatory, K-E-C-K, up in Hawaii, you'll see the gallery on the website. It has like, I don't know, 30 images. You'd think like with a telescope of that power, with adaptive optics and just incredible amounts of perfect skies, that you'd get like just updated website gallery with like a shot of Saturn, shot of Jupiter, shot of Nebula, a shot of Ceres, a shot of Neptune, you know, like Moon up close. Those galleries are never updated, and it's down the list. Like if you go to Subaru, Mount Wilson, VLT, this binocular telescope. Check out all large telescope websites. Spend one night doing that, I suggest, and see how few pictures of space are actually in those galleries. And you'll see, like, it doesn't seem like we have access to any of that data. And it also seems like astronomers who want to get anything done only have a couple of hours or like a day or like a couple of nights spread over a week to gather data, and then they have a few hours to set up. It's like a very complicated thing. So this is where it's at, really. Backyard astronomy, being able to shoot the moon or Jupiter or Saturn or other parts of space like David did on Astronomy Livestream, like that kind of data. Like these big scopes don't even have the time to do that. That's my opinion. What's going on, Kimmy? The moon is perfect half. It's a little past perfect half, but it's very hazy. So I'm hoping it's going to clear up for y'all. I'm going to take a little walk outside. I'll be back in a few. Tammy. I was going to paraphrase Alan Watts, and I'm going to attempt to paraphrase Alan Watts. So he has this concept about how really evil must exist, and it will constantly look like it's winning, but it will never win. And good will always look like it's losing, but it will never actually lose. And that's, you know, metaphysical, but in a way, if you kind of apply it to plasma cosmology and the idea of a vacuum sucking things in and blowing things out, there's this ebb and flow, and that ebb and flow is essentially good and evil, life and death, and the cycle. And so I feel like in a way we can pretty much, unless paradigms of all universes change, that evil will never truly ever win. It's always going to be there though. But I'm sure if you listen to Alan Watts, he'll explain it much more elaborately. What's going on, Bom dia? Bom dia. Alright, so I feel like the moon is getting a little clearer. And I want to read a little bit more from the Ralph Jurgens article. And I'm going to put on this again because it's good to talk over. Unless, no, that's gonna suck to repeat. Let's try something else. How about that? Yeah, please let me know if I'm too low on the voice. So I'm just going to continue from where I was yesterday because I don't want to read back everything, but if you are interested, I'm going to post the link of what I'm reading, and I read the first half yesterday. So the premise is this guy, Ralph Jurgens. I'm not exactly sure what his title was necessarily, but it's a scientist, cosmologist, researcher, and the article is called Of the Moon and Mars, Part 1, The Origin of Lunar Sinuous Rills by Ralph E. Jurgens from the Ponce Journal 2, 1974. Thunderbolts Project references this piece a lot, and it's not a lot of data, but it's incredible. I mean, it's not a lot to read, but it's a lot of data. Kimmy says, the moon is so bright here tonight, wish I had your tech. Man, I had so many nights before the tech, and I was like, man, I need to get this tech. Because, like, the moon, there really isn't any comparison to looking at the moon without a scope at all, and taking the whole sky in at once. But really, this type of view, being able to access it so quickly is incredibly empowering. I've said that many times. I encourage everybody to get a small scope, or at least if they can splurge, get like that kind of middle of the line, like $1,400 scope with a $1,000 camera. Although I know that's really out of a lot of people's range. Ellie says this coffee tastes like the moon looks. Funny, is that you were saying you had Maxwell? Is it Maxwell? All right, so I'm going to keep getting through this article. So I'm down at lunar sinuous rills. Lowland areas on the near side of the moon are gouged with peculiar valleys, or clefts, now widely referred to as rills. Many such rills cut nearly straight lines between points of no apparent significance and appear to follow crustal faults that pierce high and low ground alike. Some are gently arcuate, paralleling the shores of lunar maria, as if to suggest the tensile forces rifting the moon's surface formations were responsible for them. Others, upon close inspection, are seen to be strings of closely spaced craters that could be volcanoes, subsidence features, or, as Ford suggests, discharge effects. To one degree or another, all the lunar rills seem to have counterparts in familiar terrestrial features. But there are still others, the sinuous rills, that come so tantalizingly close, yet finally fail to measure up to suggested similar features on Earth, that they have become a subject of great controversy. I believe that the sinuous rills may be part of the evidence we seek, evidence that the Moon-Mars encounters of only a few thousand years ago. Sinuous rills meander across the landscape of the moon for distances as great as 300 kilometers. Schroeder's Valley, largest and most conspicuous of these tortuous largest and most conspicuous of these tortuous excavations, has been recognized since 1788, but for more than a century it was dismissed as just another crack. Isn't that funny? It's the same way people dismiss alternate theories as crackpots. Features on the moon over the last, 1788. That's an incredible thing. I mean, it's not surprising because I think as soon as you get a telescope and you look at the moon and you see Schroeder's Valley, which is basically that kind of snaking river in the middle of Aristarchus Plateau. Right now, tonight, Aristarchus is still not in view. It's still in the dark side, but my regulars definitely know, and others can go check older videos to see Aristarchus up close, and you'll see this snaking valley, like a river, but it's like, 150 to 200 kilometers long, and it curves around, and there are really no entries or exits, and so it's one of those features on the moon that really begs more questioning and research, and also postulation and thought. Yo, what's going on, Mark Rowe? Mark Rowe says, I watched Shoot the Moon by Jason L. and Pro Trip 7 last night. Good film. Cool. I'm trying to think if I've seen that. I feel like I have. Is it new, or is it from a few years, like a couple of years ago, or like a year ago? I don't know. I did see Suspicious Observer's Plasma Cosmology video, which I thought was really good. Ben Davidson. It's on Vimeo for rent, $7. $777. I think I'm good, but maybe at some point I'll look on it. I'll look for it during history lessons. Right now I'm way more interested in capturing the moon than watching other things. So all the time I dedicate really to videos now is just like sorting through the archives. So for the past year, I've literally, like when I first started TakeBackSpace, I was very organized. I put everything in folders every night. I got rid of all the crap, and everything was optimized and set up. But then for the past year or so, since I'm doing it so, like I basically can only stream when the only free time I have is spent streaming. So basically I've just been archiving the folders and just saving, 120 gigabytes times, 50, 60. And I filled up two 10 terabyte hard drives that I'm just going through slowly and kind of finding amazing clips, but deleting the rest. And it's like a giant amount of work that will yield, hopefully, my documentary finally. I'm really keen on doing a moon thing at some point, but it's funny because as I get better at it, the imagery gets better and the tech gets better, so I might even just leave all that stuff and just focus on getting one incredible month. All you need is one incredible month with the moon. If you know what you're looking for and you know how to shoot it, and you can stay up all night, I think in October, I'm gonna try it. Oh nice, Jen Perry, you've been back watching videos, awesome. Man, there's so much fun stuff. I know that I'm, doing the streams, but because they're so spur of the moment and I'm focused on so many things, right now I'm in a zone where I'm just keeping things going, keeping things moving, making sure everything's going steady. But then experiencing the stream from the outside is really different. and interesting and compressed. It's almost like it's mastered, and it's just all one piece. Right now it's in 4 or 5 different pieces, including like, you know, just needing to get up and stretch and making sure the weather is going right, making sure the music level's good. Like there's so many things going on. But yeah, I find that really fascinating how multi-threadedness gets distilled into a finite point and then experienced broadly. So I'm gonna take a little break from reading. As I said, I'm gonna stretch. It's really important. Man, as you get older, your back like just really, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but yeah, getting up there. All right. Gotta just get close to here. Yeah, I wish I could say my lower back is all right, but sitting in a chair for so many years has really sucked. I'm doing better though. Anyway, what's up, Shockwave? Let's see, who else is here? That's it. Hope you're doing well, Shockwave and everybody. 1046, switched it up. Basically, this is camera direct to scope. Got rid of the focal reducer and the extender tube. Let's get some zoomed in shots of the moon for a sec, and then we'll check out Jupiter. This was a little Light of the Moon remix. Some almost smooth jazz sax. I'm gonna play a song that is coming out probably tomorrow called Grown to Like Ya. So this is ready to go on Bandcamp. It'll be up soon. Like You, one of the set of the new songs. So this is a really cool shot of the southern region, but in fact it's the northern region optically, but it's the southern region right now of the moon. But Mare Imbrium, Archimedes crater, which I want to zoom into, that's the one that was in the last video with Jacob Gale on Thunderbolt's project. They were referencing that particular crater. Funny that it also has kind of like a trail that looks like a comet, like the Periodolia, or it's just recursive geometry. It's amazing. Finding a chill track here to talk over. Perhaps something like Mr. Anderson. Okay. So also a quick welcome to Loops Delou. Glad you're joining our space crew, our little space family. Tiny group of people, and we watch the moon and all sorts of things in this amazing space, talk about anything. So feel welcome, ask any questions you want, and like I typed to you, please check out the description and the past archives for other videos. There's just a lot of old content that's very good. All right, let me remove these labels. Not gonna label the moon. It's still pretty hazy, but let's see if we can't zoom into Archimedes. Of course, as soon as you start zooming, got a few clouds. It's not too much. So, of all the hexagonal stuff of the last few nights, this definitely doesn't really look very hexagonal, I'll be honest. It does have like elliptical geometry, but the really important thing here is that this is a type of feature that can be created in a laboratory using electrical discharge. So I'm going to put the link in the video, but it's actually, yeah, let me find it. I've been intent on just like making sure I paste links on stuff that I'm talking about. Whoops. So that's Thunderbolt's project, talking about Jacob Gale doing crater experimentation in the lab and referencing this crater Archimedes. For me, it's very fascinating. Like I was saying, it's got this kind of periodolia of these streamers coming off to the left. It almost looks like a comet or like arcs coming down. But then further than that, you've got it's flat floored, and I'm just finding the exact measurements here. It's about 83 kilometers across diameter and 6,000 feet deep. But what's so interesting here is that, you know, how was something like this formed by impact? It seems so incredibly unlikely that things would almost carve out a shape, versus what I'm thinking is that there are a lot of craters on the moon that look like the one to the right of Archimedes that look like mounds, and I feel like these mounds are actually the impact craters. But even those, I'm not 100% sure. But I feel like something like Archimedes is a perfect example of carving of large craters. including the mountain range to the left of it. This is Montes Archimedes. You can almost see the branching and the dendritic structure of the mountain range itself with like the little pointed finger. There's so much recursive fractal geometry in the landscape of the moon. This is right along the Apennine mountain range, the largest mountain range visible to us. And this is also really interesting. Think about like what really made these mountains. Was it stretched and pulled? These are certainly not impact related. And then I honestly, like, I hope it really clears up because you can see a ton of detail tonight. I think it will actually clear up enough to see more. But right here in the center, you can kind of see the, what is it called? Shockwave, help me out. It's like, it'll come to me. I thought I had it. Stratification. There it is. Stratified layers on the moon, you know? Anyway, I'm still a total newbie to all this stuff. I think I see what I'm hearing, and I hear what I'm seeing. You can almost see stretch marks emanating under the surface of the regolith, like almost like wires. The craters to the right of Archimedes are Aristillus and Autolycus. Autolycus is the one I was referencing to be an impact crater, or at least that's what I think it may be. But again, Aristillus above it has all the key features of electric scarification. All right, so that's a tiny region. That's the Archimedes region inside Mare Imbrium. But there's another quick one that I can zoom into, which is above it, and that is Valles Alpes, or the Alpine Valley. This is also a key feature for electric scarring. Very sharp, almost like a gash cut through a mountain range. Dimensions on that are 130 kilometers by 11 across. And we can't really see it because of the terrible haze tonight, but right in the center of it, it's got like a kilometer wide or 2 kilometer wide inner sinuous rail that follows it. So this is a prime example of how public science doesn't talk about lunar features as discoveries. They constantly go back to this idea of water on the poles and magnetic activity, and they never really talk about specific features like this, Valles Alpes, which I think is so interesting. I think any lunar geologist would have a field day kind of dissecting this and figuring out what caused this, but if you look up research on Valles Alpes, there's almost nothing. And it goes down the list of all these different features that I try and show. Awesome UFO collection says, what am I using to go live? I'm using a Sony Alpha 6500 going into an AVIO capture card, 4K, and that's going into OBS on a PC with an NVIDIA card, I think like a 1060. I don't know. Kimmy, I haven't even noticed. I'm sorry. I'm happy to go back and read stuff if you want me to, but it doesn't seem like anybody's bothered. Man, it is cooking. Oh, what's up, Renee AC? Hello. So, going through this region in the Alpine Valley. talking about how this cut is made by electricity, like an electrical arc, and you see a little bit of Plato crater. Plato. It always sounds like Play-Doh. Play-Doh crater, but Plato crater in shadow, of course, right under the Terminator. Tomorrow it'll be in full view. Actually, even in like an hour, it'll be in less of a shadow. All right, let's check out the north/south region. I don't know why I decided to start being legitimate about it tonight, but whatever. The southern region. I was just reading, it's like, the moon is actually flipped. You don't know what you're talking about. All right. So this part of the moon always looks like a beach. A goddamn beach. No, it always looks like pebbles in sand. You know, that was the immediate thing that when I first got my telescope and I looked at this portion of the moon, I was like, man, that looks like, you know, those kind of white stones poking out of like those long sandy beaches as when I grew up. So we're gonna cruise along the shores of the moon. There are a lot of tiny little craterlets here, which it seems like there's a lot of mixing of electrical scarring and also little impacts. Like this region, I can't deny looks like a whole bunch of impacts. But I feel like impacts really that actually exist on the moon are quite small. I mean, these look really small, but they're all like 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers across. And kind of much smaller. Things that are much larger, I feel, would create such destruction that we can't even see that type of destruction happening. It really, like earlier this evening, I had my pasta bowl from last night collecting soap in the sink, and I left it overnight because I was lazy or exhausted, and I came back today and I saw that it had created all these different like bubble formations on the top. It was very organized, and that is basically what I believe to be electrical fractaling happening naturally inside soap bubbles. And you can kind of see they're almost magnetic in a way. Like you could move a group of them around and they kind of skim the surface of the water and then group with other magnetic bubbles like mercury, or water bubbles like mercury. And looking at the moon, you kind of see these hexagons, pentagons back to back, like squished together, kind of trying to vie for their space. So essentially they're growing out almost circularly, but then they're finding limitations, and then the circle is getting squeezed. And that's how these pentagons, hexagons, and squares are formed, by finding limitations with that magnetic flow. I think I was looking at things today like that because the bubbles that are coming out of the water are actually trying to form spheres. But because they're getting closely packed, they actually have to distort. And so they distort in ways that actually look hexagonal and honeycomb. So they're actually flowing with just, it's almost like getting along with the neighbor forces you into being into geometry. Whereas if no one was around you, you'd be a sphere. When you're close to something, it turns into a hexagon, or whatever. It turns into a flatter edge of the circle, which is interesting considering, like, if you have plasma interaction. I'm just riffing right here because I'm just thinking about it today. So if you have the moon and Earth pushing against one another, perhaps our actual plasma sheath is actually hexagonal and not like a ring or like an oval, because if the moon is pushing against us and the sun, like if all these different forces are pushing against the magnetopause, I wonder if from a distance the magnetopause actually looks like kind of a pentagon or hexagon. Anyway, talking about some stuff. So, lunar beach. There's no way to say it that's not funny. Okay. Here's some geometry for y'all. I'm gonna quickly find the name of this crater because I thought I knew it, but I'm blanking. Blanket. Is it Moretus? Let me double check by zooming out. The haze is really unrelenting tonight, I guess. I keep thinking it's getting better, but it moves back. So that is... It's so funny, why does this atlas always look different? All right, that's got 3. And that must be, all right, Lycitus, so Maginus. Okay, there we go. Maginus crater. So I found it by looking at this trio of craters right here, these overlapping ones. That is Lycitus, and then that's at the top, and then underneath it, the one that's overlapped is Heraclitus, and then to the right of that is Cuvier. And the haze is taken over. Damn it. Damn it, Kenny. Let go of the haze. All right, you know, maybe it's time to check out Jupiter, kind of hogging the moon view, and I need to stretch. So let's do the song. Which song? Talking to myself. All right, feel for you. Yo, what's up, y'all? So, before it turns into a mess, yeah, it's totally cool, Shockwave. Not a, you know, please let's not get into a thing about flat Earth. Kimmy, if you believe the Earth is flat, that's okay. I don't think a lot of people here do, but you're welcome to hang out and watch space. We gotta just be kind to one another. So I would just urge everybody to be cool, just everybody be polite. Because, man, there's too much hate and too much aggression as it is. Miguel, take care. I hope you stay safe, man. And also, yeah, but to be fair, Tesla also didn't say the Earth was flat at all. But other, people have different viewpoints. Kimmy, you can imagine saying something like that, taking information that really isn't, available and saying that Tesla, Tesla's very close to people who are interested in the electric universe and free science. And so it's very sensitive, if you accuse somebody of saying something that they didn't say, then it can be inflammatory, and there's no point in doing that, I think. It's like flat earthers don't want to be judged, and then people who think that I don't know, everyone should respect each other's viewpoints and gently try and get a discussion going. I'm going to keep trying to do this. It's maybe completely not the way the world works, but keep trying. Corey, so funny. I don't think so. Probably hexagons, my brother. Hexagonal balls. Hope you're doing well tonight. Tesla did know the nature of the universe. So did a bunch of other people. It was a time in science, apparently, if we can trust some of that history that's still available. But we do have stories from real people who talk about it. The turn of the 18th century, 19th century, that whole kind of arc of humanity really trying to figure out what the world was all about, I feel is much more interesting and exciting than it is now in a way, at least popularly. Because people were really trying to figure things out, I guess, but there's probably always been suppression to a point. I feel like idealistic when I talk like that. Like, maybe there was no time that was better than right now. Right meow. But, Kimmy, I'll say it again. When I hear we've been totally lied to, feeling upset by government agencies bullshitting people or yourself is just something that happens in life, Space, technology, politics, medicine, it's all the same stuff, right? And on every level, you're lied to. You're lied to by so many people all the time, and you lie to yourself. Everyone lies to themselves. So that idea of taking it so personally and it feels like one of those things that's a hindrance to progress. Does it mean that you shouldn't feel like you want integrity out of government agencies? I think that's fair. But we've been lied to is just lamenting a situation that will never change because their interests are not your interests. It can never be that. Well, that's not true. I think interests can overlap, which is why I think a lot of people buy into what NASA sells, because people are like, oh, they're doing that for me. They're going to the planets and they're taking pictures of planets. I don't need to do that because NASA's doing it. And then there's a small group of people that's like, no, NASA's not doing nearly enough. I need to take it into my own hands. And on different levels, you got astronomers and physicians. You got physics, astrophysicists and physicists, and philosophers and metaphilosophers. And then you've also got people like Richard Branson and Elon Musk who are who basically work for NASA in a way, but also are independent of NASA in some way. But it's few and far between, so I urge you to do something instead of complain, but I understand that too. Everybody has the need to complain and feel heard. Field heard. So we got some nice Jovian system up here, 1115. It's now sweltering again. It was cool for a second, and then I got too comfortable. Tesla. Well, it is kind of an affront to Tesla that now you look up Tesla and you get cars. Like, even if Elon Musk was trying to, pay homage, it sucks that one of the greatest minds ever is mired in, the automotive industry as opposed to like what he was really talking about, which was scalar wave tech and the nature of the universe and the fundamental understanding of things and moving that forward. In fact, it's not even like, I know a lot of people think Tesla is associated with the concept of free energy, but it's far more than free energy. It's really fundamental understanding. And that means you can extrapolate so many things from fundamental understanding, so that that's why Tesla was so much more powered than somebody like Einstein, for example, or others who were very limited in their physical capacity to do things. All they could do was imagine things and write all the math behind it, but Tesla could actually physically do a lot of the work, and that changes it. All right, so I'm out of coffee. I think I need something icy. Let's take a little break and put some tunes. So Europa right now is behind Jupiter. I put up the moons. It's Io, Callisto, Ganymede. And I think I'll just check right now when I stand up and see if there's the Great Red Storm in view. Try so hard. All right. Damn, triple voice. Just drinking some ice cold water. Necessario. All right. Let's get back to some lunar geology by Ralph Jurgens. I'm going to get through this tonight. The weather is so nasty out. It's thick and humid and yellow. I really thought it was going to get clear, but we'll see. Moon's already setting. So we shall see, my friends. I'm looking for a track to talk over. Or not. Wish I could sort by length. Okay. Alright, so we're talking about some sinuous rills meandering across the landscape of the moon. Okay, Schroeder's Valley, that's the one I was talking about, inside Aristarchus. Wait, is this too loud? It is too loud. Maybe something less loud. That works. Alright, so sinuous rills meander across the landscape of the moon for distances as great as 300 kilometers. Schroeder's Valley, largest and most conspicuous of these tortuous excavations, has been recognized since 1788, but for more than a century it was dismissed as just another crack. At the turn of the 20th century, however, W.H. Pickering announced that from a favored vantage point high in the thin air of Peruvian Andes, he had observed scores of sinuous rills on the moon. He described them as a new kind of rill and confidently pronounced them to be riverbeds. Pickering attributed these special characteristics to his riverbeds. They are always wider at one end than another. The wide end always terminates in pear-shaped craterlet. Their length is composed almost entirely of curves of very short radius, and one end, the broader end, is nearly always perceptibly higher than the other. This last characteristic prompted him to remark, "But here we come to a very marked distinction from terrestrial rivers, for in the lunar rill, the apparent mouth is always higher than the source." I'm going to repeat that because he's talking about, like, he called them riverbeds, but essentially on Earth, water flows downwards. This is the reverse. So he's marking that. So let's say that one more time. The last characteristic prompted him to remark, "But here we have come to a very marked distinction from terrestrial rivers, for in the lunar rill, the apparent mouth is always higher than the source." What this means, of course, is that if formed by the action of water, as seems from their appearance probable, the lake flowed into a river and not the river into a lake. Since few astronomers were disposed to believe that water could flow on an airless and probably waterless planet like the moon, Pickering's identification of sinuous rills as riverbeds met with considerable ridicule and helped to earn him a reputation among his colleagues as something of a crank. Always a crackpot, crank. Like, even if he was wrong, like, this idea of just insulting people when you don't like what they suggest is so ridiculous. I just have to say that. Also, spooky language, always spooky language. Another night, like, that has nothing to do with this. I was reading all the space.com articles and it's all freaking spooky language. All right, random tangent, getting back to this. So, Pickering, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit because this is just talking about sinuous rills, but we're looking at Mare Imbrium right now. And maybe I'm just too, I don't know, I kind of want to get through the whole thing, but damn. This whole part about Pickering is just, all right, let's go through it. patient here. All right, I'm just reading some of this chat. And I'm going to just ask one more time to let's chill it out a little bit, Kimmy. No reason to be aggressive with everybody. And same, let's kind of keep it on topic here. Like, we're not trying to get accusatory with anyone. Although, I'm guilty of that as well. Loops Deleu says, well, I got to admit that I'm excited to hear that NASA wants to return to the moon by 2024. So I definitely have a controversial opinion on all that. I don't think it's controversial here, but in general, people really tend to believe that NASA really wants to just be open about the moon, and they present it that way. However, it seems like something is missing from the program. When, Elon Musk, who works with NASA all the time, thinks that NASA can't put man into low Earth orbit today, roughly, 45 years after being on the moon, there's something wrong with our space program, or at least the public awareness of what the space program is. And so for me, I've lived through a few generations of presidents now that promised to go to the moon and then cancel the mission. So 2024 is a ways away. And if NASA can't get into low Earth orbit now, if you look into the SLS rocket and you look at Elon Musk, you'll see that we're very far from actually getting anywhere near landing on the actual moon. So it sucks, but maybe there's this whole other thing where perhaps in private it's very easy to go to the moon, and yet we don't see that. I know that sounds very conspiratorial, but it wouldn't surprise me if that were the case. That's not a lot of money, though. NASA, Loops Deleu says NASA receives 50 mil a day. It's got to be going somewhere, right? You'd think, but if you really look at what things cost, I definitely think that NASA is underfunded. It gets about 20 billion every year, and it costs about 30 billion to go to the moon in today's dollars. However, considering that you did it 45 years ago, it should cost a lot less because you don't have to research, and the entire Apollo program, or at least for the first 10 years, was about 30 billion. I know people say adjusted inflation or whatever, but essentially the price is out there to get back to the moon is about 30 billion. So this is my issue with it, is that the media treats it as if the people don't want to give NASA money. So that the public decides, look, we don't want to fund NASA. But that's a total lie, I think, that the media just either believes or is completely lying about. But yeah, I don't think the public factors in at all into how much budget NASA gets. However, I'm sure a lot of you have seen, and I have, that comments and YouTube videos about the moon always have people who defend this concept that, oh, people lost interest in the Apollo program. People lost interest in the moon, therefore less funding for NASA. And I always thought that just reeked of bullshit, because it really has no actual qualifier or reason for that to be the case. The government has never factored in what the public wanted in terms of government like spending, you know, all our taxes are always spent the way the government wants to spend them, not the way the people want, even though it's sold as if the constituents and the representatives listen to their constituents and they spend, but it's not true if you look at history. So I think that if you have a government that doesn't want to spend on NASA, that's where the real little issue is. I don't think that the public has anything to do with funding NASA at all. So maybe Kimmy wasn't here when I was tackling Flat Earth the other night, but really Flat Earth is just very divisive. It's just like the Apollo missions, it's just like concave Earth, it's just like ufology. Go watch the Thunderbolts Project video and read the comments underneath, the people who follow plasma cosmology, and you'll see there's no argument. It's not divisive at all. It's respectful, it's patient, it's interested, and Flat Earth videos and Flat Earth culture in general, unfortunately, has an attitude about it that it's solved. It's almost just like settled science. Like if you disagree with Flat Earth, then you're ostracized and pointed at. And it's odd, I pointed this out last night, how it's ironic that Flat Earth rebels so hard against NASA but ends up sounding like NASA in its settled science-ness vibe. Whereas plasma cosmology is always open to change and always open to possibility. So I'm just laying it out, man. Like, popular science is never going to be honest because they're selling you a product. People on YouTube who are selling you a product actively are going to be as honest as they can, but not really tell you everything. Like, who I'm talking about is probably Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Graham Hancock, all the ufology people, Gaia TV, David Wilcock, Deep Astronomy, Vsauce, 2 Minute Science, Smarter Every Day. I could list off 50 to 100 YouTube channels that literally actively sell to you. And so when you actively sell to somebody, you cannot be 100% honest. It's that simple. And like, they're not even expecting to be honest. So that's why take back space, take back your own damn space, and get rid of the money from it, and then you can get honest answers about science. That's really what it's about. If science is tied to money, then somebody somewhere is going to change a number or reinterpret data or fudge a chart to try and get more funding or to try and convince other people to get funding. You know, it's just an entire business. And science, really true science, philosophical, metaphysical, honest science should be devoid of that if we're going to get anywhere. Anyway, damn, I'll get into a rant about just conspiracy ideology any day. It's steamy, 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 and the moon is disappearing. Maybe it's trying to tell me something. Got an hour and a half on the clock. I'll start winding it down over here. I'll do one more rant before I close out, but that's really what I wanted to say. I mean, I hate calling out other channels because I know they're all working. They're not bad people because they're trying to sell. But because they're trying to sell, they can't tell you things like, I'll give you an example, like what's her name? Vintage Astronomy. You think like, what's her name? God damn it, I forget, I should know her name. But anyway, Vintage Astronomy or Philip Plate or who else? Dr. Becky. These kind of very beautiful women who very quickly, over the course of 5 to 10 minutes, try and make your head spin about the Apollo missions or about some exoplanet shit. And I understand that they may really be sincere about that, but it actually is so unhelpful to actually progress of science. It's this deification of ideology and an insistence upon the objectification of deification. Like, the product that they sell is deification. Like, if you follow, like, look at the Griffith Observatory, All Things Space, and a whole bunch of different shows like that. It's constantly trying to sell you the stage by which to believe this fabricated, mathemagical mystery bus of quantum and relativity, where nobody can see anything and you can never discover anything because it's always maybe discover something that possibly will affect something that might change things in the future. They literally torture themselves to basically say nothing in science articles nowadays. And I was going to just basically read some of them, but instead I'm just ranting about it because it's some total BS. If you want to rant about something, go open a space blog and write about stuff that you see. That's something, instead of lamenting the situation. Although, of course, I'm not, the irony of me lamenting on my own space show is not lost on me. All right, little break. Yo, what's up everybody? Rolling in, almost 12 o'clock here. I think I'm gonna start winding it down over, but we'll see. It was getting completely closed up and then I zoomed out and we got a nice hazy setting moon over here. What's up Michigan, Woodland Warrior? What's up Corey and everybody? Thanks for hanging out. Y'all keeping it chill. Yeah, I'm just gonna breathe through that. Kimmy, I hope you're not offended, but I don't want to really explain anything. I just want some calm, chill stuff in my chat, and if I feel like I want to time someone out, I'm gonna time someone out. I know that Shockwave was responding to you, but like, Flat Earth has a really aggressive tone sometimes, and I'm not sure where you're coming from, but like, let's tone down the Flat Earth aggression and talk about concepts together. That's what I meant. If I misread your comments, then I'm sorry, but that's how it looked to me. Anyway, I want to move past this because we got a nice moon, and I really just want to finish up on the Ralph Jurgens stuff, but I want to take a moment to just remind people to check the description of the video for a bunch of electric universe and plasma cosmology and proto-Saturnian cosmology. Electric universe eyes, see the pattern, electric view, the electric view, Chronos, Greg J, Thunderbolts Project, Suspicious Observers, and I'm sure there are others, but as well as Halton Arp, Anthony Peratt, Sky Scholar, Stephen Crothers, and Pierre-Marie Robitaille on Sky Scholar about the sun. That's what I was talking about earlier, sun being a liquid metallic hydrogen versus a gaseous plasma, because you really actually see the surface of the sun. And, you know, this November, a lot of people are going to be taking images of Mercury crossing in front of the sun on the 11th of November. So if you want to really see the granules of the solar surface in action, and you can kind of see, in a way, it's the same honeycomb pattern, because that's the way it kind of folds on itself. It's similar types of fractals. So those are some links, those are some shout outs. And what else we got? And then I was talking about some Saturnian cosmology, reading some of Ralph Jurgens, more of Ralph Jurgens stuff from Ponce, talking about sinuous rills. Right now it's really tough to see anything on the surface, but it would be nice. Hopefully tomorrow the moon and Jupiter will be really close. I'm hoping for a clear stream, or at least just not rain. We'll try and get Jupiter and the moon in the same frame. It might be possible. Kimmy, don't be sad, please. Maybe I misread your comments. I just saw you and Shockwave going at it about Flat Earth, and maybe I misread your comment. So please don't be sad, and other ideas are always welcome. Talk about everything here, even Flat Earth, but I think it just was an attitude thing, or maybe I misread it. So sorry about that, if that's the case. And it's so damn hot. It's so hard to keep focused. I'm just like deflating. You can even see it on the screen. It's just the humidity is oozing off the moon and the screen and the camera and the scope. All right, need to find a tune to match this. Let's see. So usually I play off the iMac on the 11-inch, and I have my whole Logic set up, so it's really easy to find tracks. On this computer, I'm really running through my SoundCloud playlist trying to find stuff to play, so it always takes me much longer. Let's go with this one. Yeah, Shockwave reminds me the sun is externally powered. Donald Scott's work. That's a really incredible model. I would kind of wish that Pierre-Marie Robitaille would work with Donald Scott more and figure that out, or at least somebody to carry on that work. I wonder if, who's the next generation of solar, theorists or cosmology theorists. I mean, I feel like I'm trying to be that, but I don't know, like any of the real science or the math behind it. It's just scratching the surface now. So like, who is this real generation of people who's going to take over from Walt Thornhill and Donald Scott and Peratt and I think about that sometimes. Will this knowledge be lost on some YouTube channel? But sun externally powered, it's likely that humans are externally powered and externally fed information. I really believe that the intersection of concepts that Eileen McCusick brings to the table, the biofield, coupled with Rupert Sheldrake's the morphogenic field, basically completely tethers and creates understanding about how we exist within information, and we pick it up like receivers, and that's why we're all different but yet the same. We're all picking up the same information, and then it explains a lot of incidences like telepathy and not telekinesis necessarily, but even telekinesis to some degree, because reality is information, and perhaps you can manipulate reality by thinking about it. You can never rule that out. Eugene Bagashov, yeah. I know, that's what, actually, thank you. That's why I was bringing that up. Who's the next generation? It is Eugene and a couple other people. A lot of things come to mind when I think about plasma cosmology, but I'm just trying to think. I wanted to reference two things. One was, I haven't listed, but I want to list out David D. Hilster's channel, Dissident Science. He's a really interesting cat. I have mentioned him before, but I'm going to add him to the list of links. He actually talks about Electric Universe, but also he's kind of into his own model with his dad. And he lists out a whole bunch of other people who have their own models of the universe, so it's not really just like flat Earth and electric universe and concave Earth. There are a whole bunch of people who think about a lot of different things besides conspiracies and quantum and shit like that. So David D. Hilster, pretty cool. Who else did I want to reference? I'm trying to think. I was going to also say, show Thunderbolt's project to a friend, to a family member, and, keep at it, because it takes a long time to change minds, and sometimes you just have to repeat things over and over and over again, and we get discouraged by just trying once, and you're like, oh, that person didn't like Electric Universe, so I'm done, versus like trying and trying and trying for months at a time, trying to show people, like, look at these, like, your mythology is part of you, and if you don't understand it, then you don't really understand what's like the foundation of mankind. And the same thing with space. If you don't look up and look at the moon and relate to it, then where are you really? Like, where are you living, is what I think. Ellie Wynn says, this is what my brain, FF me, feels like. Yeah, I'm literally trying to string together words that make sense, and I'm like, the bicameral mind is somehow getting across information across the network. Yeah, actually, let's solve this. So Shockwave was pissed because, or just getting all caps, because Kimmy was saying that Tesla said the Earth is flat. There's nowhere that Tesla said the Earth is flat, and that's it. Let's just leave it at that. He just never said it. There was not a single quote where he said that. If he implied it, then you're interpreting it, and that's okay. Everybody's interpretation is fair. But a realm, here, let's look up what the word realm means, just so we're all clear on it. So, realm is a kingdom, the peers of the realm. Synonyms: kingdom, sovereign state, monarchy. Realm is also a field, or a domain of activity or interest. And then in zoology, a primary biogeographical division of the Earth's surface. So I don't know where that really references being flat, although I know kingdom is a religious kind of, is synonymous with certain religious concepts. And then a primary biogeographical division of the Earth's surface could be interpreted any way you want, but it's the same thing with the word. I'm going to look this up because people use, what is it? Luminary all the time. And luminary as well. Dictionary. Luminary. Or correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but luminary says, a person who inspires or influences others. And then archaic, a natural light-giving body, especially the sun or moon. Now, that is a confusing statement, right? A natural light-giving body. Because this idea of light-giving is just a very vague distillation of how light works by saying that something gives light or gives off light is a very simplistic understanding of light. So a natural light-giving body can be interpreted a lot of ways, but this idea that Jupiter is a luminary or a wandering star, making it less exciting because you call it that, doesn't make any sense to me. Even if it's a hologram, it's still incredible. So there's this weird part of flat Earth that I don't understand where like people are stuck in the fact that like NASA's lying and Jupiter's a hologram, but then, or whatever, or if it's flat, but then it kind of limits you from discovering more. That's what's it's interesting about this conspiracy. It's all like, it has its own kind of limitations, just like standard popular science. But yeah, you don't have to be whipped, but I just wanted to make sure we're all clear on that. That's the whole point. Let's not get mired in it, even though I just got mired in it. All right, everybody, I think I'm gonna wind it down. It's Friday, 12:01 in the sweltering south. Yeah. All right, everybody, so I'm gonna go through the chat roll. Let me know if you have any final questions or thoughts. Corey, take it easy. Kimmy, take it easy. Shockwave, have a great one. Tammy, See you soon. Tom, see you soon. Ellie, rock on. Pat Wingsley, Loops. Nice to have you on the stream tonight. Be well. Hope to see you on another one. And definitely check out the archive if you have time for that. Michigan Woodland Warrior, have a good one. Light Moon. And Jan already left. All right, let me know if I missed you. Otherwise, have a great day tomorrow. I'm damn tired. It is cooking. Heck yeah, Corey. Corey just reminded me I'm also posting some new tracks. I'll post a few tomorrow and a couple over the weekend. Actually, today, tomorrow. Anyway, see y'all real soon. Good night. And thanks for listening to me rant about all that stuff. Go check it out for yourself. Don't take anything I say as 100% fact, because I don't know for sure. You can always be wrong. You can always be right.